The following podcast contains subject matter that may be unsuitable for more sensible viewers. Views expressed here do not reflect that of any community that you would want to be a part of. Listener discretion is mandatory. Mama, what does trans mean?
No!
What if for merch we just sell, like, rats?
Just rats.
Like, live rats. And they have nothing to do with the show. We just...
I mean, that's having a rat as a pet is trans culture.
Yeah, it's true. Trans people just have, like, weird rodents. Like, I have a hedgehog.
Wow, way to assume it's species. Jesus.
Part.
Maybe it identifies as something
Hedgehogs
else.
are not rodents.
Excuse
I would
me.
like to make that clear.
My ferret is gender affirming. Please respect.
Gender support ferret. You know, say what you will about ferrets. I've never been misgendered by a ferret.
Excuse me, please don't misgender my capybara.
Welcome back to Tranifesto.
My capybara does not use pronouns. Please do not refer to my
Every single
capybara.
time I do my best
Please
to
do not commit
laugh as I
violence
go into the intro.
towards my capybara.
Every single fucking time. Welcome back to Tranifesto, the show praised by gender-critical feminists as thought-provoking and an example of why we should send trans people to the moon. I'm one of your hosts, Madeline Hops. I am joined today, as usual, by...
Ree Carter, I'm already on the moon, and it's great. The moon is now exclusively populated by trans people and robots, and robots are trans people. So
Robots are trans.
robots are trans.
Canonically.
I think that's like they're sort of a step up from transhuman, where you just get rid of the humans, so they're just trans.
Oh, shit, that's good.
I'm Amy Blair. You might be able to hear in the background street noise. This is actually not Tranifesto. This is the sounds of Vancouver ASMR sleep playlist. So we're here
Buy
like
some M.
someone
This
like
isn't
vomiting on
decaf.
like Pender.
Yeah. See, if you can smell the piss and kombucha if you just really let your mind open.
You could just say piss. Kombucha is implied.
I
They kind of
personally
smell the
like
same.
kombucha, but
Well, you're entitled to your wrong opinion.
Yeah, and
It's
I like
fine.
piss, but I don't go around telling people about it.
Kombucha is what happened when someone failed at making bread. And they just kind of rolled with it.
that's what beer
Oh,
is.
shit.
No, I think that kombucha is like someone failed at making beer spectacularly. And so it was not alcoholic and it tasted like piss. And they were like, well, we'll go with it.
There's one of they were one of those people that find success in everything. They're like, no, I didn't fail at making beer. I succeeded at making a shit soft drink that I can market to hippies.
I want to make kombucha because I've been watching like Bon Appetit's It's Alive with Brad Leone, and he makes kombucha and he's beautiful. And so...
If you make kombucha, you'll be beautiful too.
No, if I make kombucha, he might pay attention to me.
What if the
Gotcha.
real kombucha was the friends we made along the way?
Well, I mean, kombucha is alive, so it is technically a friend.
My SCOBY is my only friend.
Yeast culture is the only culture I have.
We're
yeah,
podcasting
so-
today.
Oh, I know, it's so good. I am learning to use my fucking new weed vaporizer, as I learned from my mistake that one episode where I accidentally... my lips tripped, and I fell into a bong pipe. And when I tried to breathe, I accidentally inhaled some fumes. So I've decided to just move over to a quieter way of smoking. And we'll see how
Yeah,
this
you just
goes.
gotta get a Juul and like load it with like off-market like THC cartridges that you can order on like dodgy Korean websites.
I really want to do that now. So anyways, this week we are reviewing a TV show. And it's from season 18 of South Park, and the episode is called Cissy. So yeah, we're fucking doing South Park, because this has come up before.
Spelled Cissy, not sissy, like the porn genre / identity.
Slash, fuck, I had a joke. I lost it. Didn't it?
No, you're good.
Anyways,
You go to joke jail now.
I go to Canadian joke.
Canadian
gulag.
joke jail. Every time
It's
you
right
make a
next to
helicopter joke, like an attack helicopter joke, you go to the
Canadian
Canadian
joke jail is exactly
joke
the same
jail.
as Canadian gender prison.
It's the same people.
So yeah, fucking South Park. As it stands, none of us actually watch South Park or have really ever watched South Park, other than what you randomly stumble across on the internet.
Yeah, like I was saying, like I associate South Park with the boys who bullied me in middle school, and so South Park to me, like it's difficult. It's really traumatic. It's also just annoying.
All right, well, I'll put the hard question out to both of you. You have to pick one: South Park or Family Guy.
South Park.
Oh, South Park, easily, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, because I was
Family Guy is just bad.
Oh yeah, because I was a pretty big like South Park head way back in the day.
Of course you were.
Oh shit. Well, then ignore the part I had earlier, because that's a fucking lie. So Ree has some experience.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like I was a big fan, and like I remember actually watching this like episode when it came out, and like
When did this come out?
2014.
The forgotten year.
Which is funny because I feel like if this came out now, I think it would land. I feel like we could probably have like the exact same like opinion on it. You know what I mean? Like I think it would be just as like it's pretty good now as it was in like 2014.
Yeah, we'll get into kind of breaking that apart in a second. But before we get started, can
Well, like
who would like to
the
kind
Lord jokes would be less topical.
That's true. Who do you replace
true.
that with?
Billie Eilish.
Yes, exactly. Billie is.
What are the Jonas Brothers?
Absolutely, 100% Billie Eilish.
Yeah, definitely. Billie Eilish is the 2019 Lord.
Oh shit, that's
Yeah,
true.
no, Billie Eilish is just the Lord for girls who Juul.
Billie Eilish Billie Eilish is Lord for Zoomers.
Billie Eilish is Lord for Zoomers who
There we
Juul and like do weird research chemicals and like use TikTok. I don't understand TikTok.
I think
so
isn't it just like Vine but with more effects?
that's like really I think where you draw the line between millennial and Zoomer is whether or not you understand TikTok.
It's like it's like okay, so like Vine was like the best thing to ever happen to like black content creators, while TikTok replaced people of color with uncomfortably good cosplayers like making asses of themselves.
Well, I don't understand TikTok because it's like Vine, but it's not Vine, and there's also this weird thing about lip syncing.
So are you saying like TikTok is the Macklemore of social media?
I need some like Zoomer boy to mansplain TikTok to me.
Replies in a postcard, please. So this episode of South Park. So it begins with school shooter joke of Cartman being like, today's the day. If they do it to me, what I've got in my pocket is going to make them all change their mind. So,
and like, that's another thing that was very 2014 and would not make any sense today because that's over.
Yeah, there hasn't been a school shooting since
we dealt
Columbine.
With that.
Yeah, it's over.
It's world peace. Everything's okay.
Michael Moore ended school shootings.
Yeah, he bowled for Columbine and he won.
Yeah,
so we're good.
He got a strike.
We also had a black president, so there's no racism anymore either.
No, it's over. So anyway, so the joke is that he just wants to sit on the toilet all day, and it's always full of people. So he just pulls out of his pocket a bow, slaps on his head, says he's transgender, so he can use the women's shitter, and that's kind of the crux of the Cartman joke. So, and then the
school is like scrambling to try to figure out how to accommodate the student who clearly is not transgender, but
he's saying all the right things. He's like, it's like, you don't even know what transgender is. It's like, yeah, well, it means that I was born with the identity that I don't identify with. It has caused me great mental trauma, and like he's like saying all of the buzzwords.
Well, if you're a woman, that means you have to be attracted to men now. Are you attracted to men? And he's like, well, no, actually. Gender identity has nothing to do with sexual orientation. Like they do this thing where where Cartman is like surprisingly knowledgeable.
Yeah, I think that part caught me off guard.
Well, here's the thing is like, and just to like kind of jump into the thing of it, like just so that you know where it's coming from, is like the joke is like Cartman's whole point in the show, which nobody gets, and you wouldn't get from literally anybody's interpretation or any of the merch or anything to do with the show, is that the joke of Cartman is that things that he does are things that a regular person wouldn't do, and it's ridiculous because it's just this one child who's a fucking sociopath is the one who does these ridiculous things that he does. And that's the point. But obviously they market him as the center of the show, and everybody like laughs at this kid who makes anti-Semitic jokes. So it completely falls flat. But the point is that no one would ever lie about being trans to use the women's bathroom except for this one person who is completely insane.
I mean, what's that pithy phrase, like, satire needs a clarity of purpose and intention, or else it's indistinguishable from that which it's trying to mock?
Well, see, I thought so too, but I mean, fucking Rick and Morty, I think successfully does that, but everybody's fucking running with Rick as the person to be idolized in that show, so...
That's true.
Well, and that's the problem, right? Like, maybe we can talk about this later, but, you know, like, people identify with the characters who maybe the writers had good intentions to try to mock. This happens a lot. I mean, like, say, I think immediately of
this
Fight Club.
person is bad. Don't look at this person. Don't, like, idolize this person. This person is bad and they do bad things, and we're explicitly stating that they're bad, and everybody's like, haha, this person is smart, but everybody hates him, so I identify with that person because everybody hates me, and I'm an idiot.
It's just like the Joker movie coming out.
Well, yeah, the Joker's the same thing.
Yeah, well, I just think of every, like, fucking, like, college, undergraduate, like, anarcho-primitivist boy with a poster of Tyler Durden in his dorm room, right? Mm-hmm. And yeah, the new Joker movie is another thing like this. It's like, are we able to make these movies? Because I think we should be able to.
Oh, yeah, like, I
make things that...
I hope the movie's good from what I've heard.
Satirize bad characters, but, like, there is this problem where people go and identify with them.
Well, and that kind of, we can have a conversation about it later, but, like, where does the onus fall on the creators versus, like, what is out of their hands? Because, I mean, I want to finish the synopsis, but, like, I think Cartman's done a good job of being portrayed as someone that is bad, and yet he's still idolized, but we'll get into that later.
Yeah, because I want to do, if we ever get around to doing an Always Sunny in Philadelphia episode, to do, that's, like, because that's, like, the only show that I've seen, or one of the only shows that I've seen that actually does a really good version of these people are terrible and are not to be idolized and are to be looked down on. Yeah. And that's why they're able to do ridiculous, edgy shit.
It's it's insanely difficult to misread Always Sunny, I think, unless you're, like, actually going into it with bad faith. Whereas I think it's a lot easier to misread South Park and just genuinely be like, oh, Cartman, what a funny little jerk. The transgenders are out of control or something.
Yeah. So anyway, like, the whole thing is that, like, everybody's pissed off at him for, like, taking advantage of something that everybody's like, this is a serious thing, stop taking advantage of this, but he's, like, saying all the right things so they can't do anything about it. The school doesn't want to have to deal with, like, you know, any kind of protest or anything, and it has Mr. Garrison, who we'll get into, like, saying, like, oh, yeah, you don't want to deal with this, just give him what he wants. And eventually they just say, okay, you can have your own bathroom. You just have your own special bathroom, and they say other, and it has a picture of Cartman on it, and it's the other bathroom. But he's like, fuck yeah, I get my own bathroom, takes advantage of it.
Which was his whole idea.
Yeah, exactly. So they create the trans-only bathroom that conservatives love to point out as their compromise. Mm-hmm. Anyways, but then you have the character Wendy, who then comes to school, like, presenting mask and identifying as Wendell, and like wanting to use it and saying, okay, yeah, I'll wait, I can use this. And then, you know, Cartman's like, oh, she can't do that, she's lying. And, you know, there's, like, obviously the hypocrisy, that's the whole joke. And then you have Stan, who's dating Wendy, who has his own thing where he's like, oh shit, like, Now I am calling all of my own stuff that I've never thought about into question. Where do I belong? And then he goes into that room.
Am I gay now? Am I a woman now?
Yeah. And then at the end it's like the school's like, oh, you know what? Fuck it. Anybody can use the bathroom that they are comfortable with. And Carmen's like, oh, I don't want to use the women's bathroom if anybody can use it, and that's the joke. So that's, like, the main arc that we're concerned with.
And also, like, the sissies get their own bathroom. For, like the transphobic cis people get their own special designated bathroom.
Oh,
which is a better solution than the trans.
Yeah, we endorse.
I was just going to say, just, like, it's not overly relevant, but we'll probably reference it because they use it to tie into the queer part. They do an episode, or the other storyline going on through the episode is the fact that Lord played at one of the kids' birthday parties, and there's, like, a newspaper reporter who's trying to figure out, you know, the truth, and turns out Lord is, I believe it's Stan's dad.
Yeah.
What's his name?
Yeah, Randy.
Randy.
Yeah, Randy is basically being a like I guess closeted version of Lord, pretending to dress up as Lord, and
he is Lord.
Yeah, he basically
he's literally Lord.
And he's just like living this double life.
Yeah, and
as Lord.
And he's writing the music for it.
It's Sia who did the voice.
Oh shit, was it
but
Sia?
Lord did like the episode. Yeah.
Oh fuck, I thought Lord. Well, maybe Lord did the one where they were actually on the show.
Yeah, maybe. But yeah, that was Sia. But yeah, Lord apparently thought the episode was hilarious and was not offended or took it in bad faith or whatever.
Yeah, and so so the sub thing is basically this mystery of who Lord is, and it turns out it's Randy. And it's Randy basically.
Well, and it's like Randy has like, does Randy have gender dysphoria? Is that the thing?
Well, that's the thing.
I'm a little bit confused.
No, he just it's one of those things where he just prefers the women's washroom because it's nicer and he feels inspired in there.
Yeah.
Which kind of gets into, like, obviously, like, the show was not equipped to it, but it does kind of get into non-dysphoric transition. Which I think
I don't really think that's what this is, though.
No, it's not. That's obviously not. That's not what it was intending. But I feel like it's kind of interesting because, like, in like 2019, like, that's the thing that went to my head. It's like, well, this is kind of like, is this like that thing that, you know, fucking real people do?
Mm-hmm. I mean, no, because I don't think that like a non-dysphoric trans person is just using the bathroom.
Well, no, obviously, that's obviously that
like,
was
the comparison. Yeah. The comparison, I think, is.
I think that. I think what the episode, because I don't want to give South Park too much credit when we dissect this because it's South Park, but I mean, you could also interpret it as Matt and Trey basically saying like it's stupid to have segregated washrooms in the first place. Because there's also that Kyle's girlfriend ends up. I don't know if it was a permanent change or whatever, but like comes to the school as a boy.
That was Stan's girlfriend.
Stan's girlfriend, yeah.
They didn't really do anything with that.
No, exactly.
Well, I think I forget exactly, and maybe we should have like watched more episodes around this, but I think that like this is like it was like the reason that I watched this because apparently it was like the first season that started to have like actual like continuity between episodes, and I think that it's something that they do resolve in later episodes, and maybe that's something we can look at in another episode.
Yeah, that would be good. It wasn't a huge part in the episode like we brought up. It's brought up and then it just kind of goes away. But yeah, I think a good place to get started with while we're talking about like episodes surrounding it, it's like South Park has had a bit of a history with controversial subjects that are represented,
and specifically with trans stuff.
Yeah, because we all I say we all remember, but I think a lot of us have heard of the episode where Mr. Garrison gets a vagina and how that kind of worked out.
I have not.
Okay, so just a quick synopsis.
Mr. Garrison gets a vagina.
Yeah, you got it. Cool, we're good.
So the joke is that Mr. Garrison becomes Mrs. Garrison and is just exactly the same weird bald teacher, except is a woman now, and that's the bit.
Yeah, and there's also the fact that they're going over,
groundbreaking.
I think that in that episode, they also do, transformative surgery to turn one of the kids' dads into a dolphin, and turns one of the kids into an artificial basketball player.
Yeah, because Kyle's dad is trans species, and he becomes a dolphin, and then Kyle becomes, a black, basketball player.
Yeah, so I mean, so South Park has
not great.
Yeah, no, so South Park has a bit of a history. I mean, there's other subjects as well.
It's very attack helicopter.
Yeah, and this is where it's kind of interesting in terms of how to, if it's possible for a show like this to even approach queer issues or I guess issues of any minority group without just being a dick about it. Because coming back to what we talked about earlier with Cartman and the wrong people idolizing Cartman, a lot of people watch that show, and Cartman, from what I hear, is their favorite character. That's the character I hear. That and Kenny are the ones that are brought up the two most. Mm-hmm. And I think what happens is what Ree said, which is this is the issue with Rick and Morty, where it's the fan base is idolizing the wrong person rather than looking down on them. Much like people who idolize Rick, who think, oh, Rick is me, I'm Rick. And it's no, Rick is supposed to be the asshole nobody likes.
Maybe I just don't get South Park. Mm-hmm. I feel the same way. I can't watch South Park and find it funny or entertaining or enjoyable. I find it very abrasive and edgy for the sake of being edgy.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
I feel the same way about South Park as I do about Come Town. You know, like like guys who listen to Come Town, it's like
I feel vindicated.
Like, okay,
I felt like a bad lefty for like not getting Come Town. I'm like, this just seems
No,
like...
I think you're actually a good lefty for not listening to Come Town.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, there are two genders, Chapo listeners and Come Town listeners.
No, like, yeah, it's like, I don't know, if you're just being like edgy or like abrasive or politically incorrect, like they do use the phrase politically correct in this episode, like it's this style of humor that I just think is so juvenile. It's just like
I don't know if
very
you've noticed
tweeny, tween boy, like testing boundaries and being shitty for the sake of it kind of comedy, which I just don't think is very innovative. I don't think it's very funny. I think it's kind of lazy and often winds up just punching down. I'm sorry, like that turned into a critique of Come Town too. Don't
That's fine. It's okay. We'll leave it in. I don't think Come Town listens. And if they do, hi guys. But yeah, I mean,
shout out.
Yeah, shout out.
Wait, hold on. So if Come Town is South Park and Chapo is The Simpsons, what is Red Scare?
The Cleveland Show. So
that is a good question. I just like can't think of.
It's The View. So, I mean, here's the thing, like...
Dasha is the Meghan McCain of the left.
It's another failed daughter. So, here's the thing I find with... I agree with Amy entirely. Like, the humor isn't really my taste. It basically feels like potty humor with a budget. And yes, I guess, like, to some degree, jokes like that can be fucking funny. But, I mean, it's nonstop. Like, I think there's, like, at least 4 minutes of this episode dedicated entirely to the sound of farts, which again is kind of South Park's brand of humor.
Yeah, like I don't think it's being like maybe previous episodes were being a bit more like overtly transphobic. I don't think this one is like really being intentionally or very substantially harmful.
Well, a lot of it is jokes that I think that I definitely hear with other trans people, like, oh, I just transitioned so I could use the cleaner washroom. Or like also
God,
just
no,
so I could
the
say,
thing is that like fucking women hover over the seat. It's not even cleaner. I sit down.
Because that was the biggest fucking lie I was given when I was transitioning. It's like, oh yeah, the women's washroom is clean. Bull fucking shit. There is lipstick stains everywhere. Do you know how many fucking pentagrams I have seen in the women's washroom?
It's literally just like the hovering. Okay, let me talk about this. Okay. Like hovering over the seat. This is like the classic prisoner's dilemma, right? Where like if we all cooperate and we all sit down and all clean our like butt cheeks every day, like fucking civilized human beings, and like we can all just sit down on the toilet seat and it'll be fine. But if a single one of you fuckers hovers over the toilet seat, you get pissed on the toilet seat, and then other people sit on it, and for the rest of their lives they're like, I gotta hover over the toilet seat, and then like everyone has to do it because they don't want to sit on your piss, and it turns into this cycle where we all defect and we all hurt each other, when really if we had solidarity, if we like cooperated, we could successfully have clean toilets. But we're just not there yet, I guess, as a society. Thanks for listening.
Expecting people to not to like clean their buttholes and butt cheeks is very ableist and colonial.
It's classist, I think.
Yeah, it's and classist.
And do you remember the discourse that was like expecting people to shower is classist?
No, it was around like do people wash their legs?
Yeah, and then it's like it's classist to suggest that I should wash my legs every day because it's just.
By the way, my for whatever reason my headphones gave out during that whole lecture, and so I came back to people cleaning their buttholes. So I have no idea the rest of the context, but whatever that was, thank you, Amy, for that.
You're welcome. Okay. Don't hover over the fucking toilet seat.
But yeah, so coming back to the humor of South Park and its iffy subjects, I think it's also in the implementation of the humor. Like South Park tries to have these moments of clarity where they get a character to be like sane in the insane world. There's one moment where Sharon, which is Randy's wife, like confronts him because I think she finally figures out that he was Lord all along. And he had and this is why I brought up Lord earlier, because I have the line here I want to read, which is Sharon talking to Randy after Randy kind of gives up being Lord, because Randy also experienced transphobic issues at his workplace, because he's not allowed to use the bathroom. So the line is basically, do you know why young people like Lorde so much? It's because she's something different.
Because she does bops.
Yeah. Kids have pop music artists flash tits and crotch in their face, and most kids are actually smart enough to be sick of it. Lorde represents something in all of us, the truth that wants to be heard. If I could talk to Lorde right now, you know what I would tell her? I'd tell her not to let people change who she is. I'd tell her that if people are making fun of her, it's because they lost touch with being human. I tell her to keep on doing what she does, because when someone's not allowed to express who they are inside, then we all lose. That's what I would say to Lorde.
See, I think I can speak on Lorde's behalf here and say that we're sex positive on this podcast, and you're allowed to be a slutty pop star.
Yeah.
And kids love it.
Exactly.
But also, being Lorde is cool too.
I thought Lorde got her start on 4chan.
Oh, no, she did. Yeah, she did. On the Mew board, yeah.
But yeah, so I
Is
mean,
that how you say that? Mew, not moo.
Moo?
The Mew board, Mew board. I don't know.
I want to call it Moo board. But so this is the thing with the South Park humor is like they have all this potty humor go around, and then they have like lines like this where they try to like fuse together the symbolism, and it just, I don't know, it felt kind of flat for me. It almost felt like they were making fun of that moment.
Yeah, it could not really be genuinely heartfelt.
No.
And plus, that is like that's a perpetual moment. Like that's not necessarily a moment you can really like actually like put your finger on.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
I mean, one of the things that I think we should also kind of bring up and we should talk about is, and we'll get to the Cartman dissection of the joke in just a second, but the sub I guess line where Kyle starts questioning his gender. So I originally took that as like a negative, because it almost seemed like they were saying, you know, kids, if they're introduced to this, will become too confused and jaded, and then not understand what the heck is going on.
Well, I don't know, because I think that there is something interesting to talk about where it's like, you know, what does it mean when people who might have like it's sort of the whole idea is like, is being trans contagious almost, like, for lack of a better term? Like the idea of like, if you already have identity issues and you're presented with the idea that you can question your gender, you can define your identity the way you want to, and is that something that is imposed, and does understanding it that way change the way you might have already like dealt with your identity if that wasn't an availability? You know what I mean?
Yes, maybe, but that's not a bad thing, I don't think.
No, it's not a bad thing. No, I'm just saying
like,
it's an interesting conversation that I don't hear a lot.
Having the option, like being given the social space and the acceptance and the option of being gender nonconforming or being trans or having a non-normative gender identity of some sort, that might, it's like if more people have that option and feel safe to do it, more people will do it, and more people will maybe have like realize something about themselves that they might have just repressed otherwise. But like, it's not a bad thing, you know, if people do that. Like, I think, you know, if everyone gets to be kind of gender fucked and have room to explore, it's like makes everything better. Like, it's good for everybody, I think.
Yeah.
Except
totally.
like people who are weirded out and alienated by it, but they can use the sissy bathroom.
Well, well, it's just like, again, it comes back to that line from Sharon, because when someone's not allowed to express themselves on the inside, we all lose. I don't know. I like the idea of like the kid. There's a lot of kids kind of got in on it, and they're just like, they're fine with whatever. Like, they didn't care. I don't know. I'm still like, I'm sorry. Like, none of the jokes in this really landed for me.
It's just not at all.
And like the message felt muddy.
Just bad. I just like, there's this like, I've read these like it's something about like Reddit guys who think that South Park is actually just like really intelligent. You just like don't quite understand the humor, or you don't really quite understand the satire that they're doing. Like, no, South Park is just stupid. Like, it's just inane juvenile humor.
Those are the same people that like to talk about like IQ
and Rick and Morty. Yeah,
IQ and
like,
Rick and
grow
Morty.
Up.
No, it's like it's annoying.
You're allowed to like Rick and Morty. Just like shut up about it.
Yeah.
You're not smart.
You can like Rick and Morty, just don't put it in my face or my children's face, and we'll be fine.
You can also like come down, just like don't at me.
Yeah, I guess we might as well just kind of get into it now, which is the joke. Does it land? Where does it succeed? Where does it fail? I didn't find any of it funny. I mean, what are
the jokes exactly?
The jokes are what? They're the farting on the toilet, which again, I guess is that brand.
Cartman, he shits a lot, you know, like it's like, I don't know if you've ever really put it together, but like shitting is kind of funny. Like, it's literally like poop coming out of your ass. Like, classic comedy.
Wait, poo funny, ass funny, poo ass funny.
Oh, that is comedy gold.
And so that's like an obvious joke. You might have. It's clear to me now that you missed that part.
We would like to take this moment to thank our patrons for subscribing and helping.
So I do want you to go back and rewatch, and maybe with that context, you can start to understand the comedy of South Park.
Yeah.
Poo funny,
like,
ass funny.
It's funny that like Lord is a man.
Well, I mean, yeah, I think that could have worked at any point where it's just like, oh, this random pop star is actually some dad who put a bunch of auto-tune on. Like, that's funny.
Yeah, that's kind of cute.
That was the one part of the episode I laughed at, was when, Randy, like, played his son. Like, he was trying to explain to his son that he was Lord. He was like, yeah. And, like, he sings into the microphone, and it's, like, terrible. He's like, yes. And it's like, Dad, no offense.
The song comes on.
Yeah, and he's just like,
I'll edit it.
He's like, why don't I'll just auto-tune and just do some pitch correction, and he just flips a switch. And it just switches right over to Lord. Like, and then fucking...
That bit, like, that was the stronger part of the episode, and I also think it just would have been funnier if they had focused on it and done a bit more with it, and also probably not done the trans plot line with it, because I just think that was kind of lazy and not funny. It was just sort of like, oh, like when he's at the studio, he wants to use the women's washroom, so he dresses as a woman, ?
Yeah, because it could also lead into like the whole fear of like, oh, men are just self-identifying so they can get into, just so they, like, I guess that was the thing, is like, it's...
Yeah, and it's like I can understand that there's this thing where like, they aren't actually saying that, like, that we're making fun of these characters for doing the obvious thing that no one would ever do. But it just, people who watch South Park, like, aren't...
Yeah.
Like, they aren't gonna see it that way. A lot of the people who watch South Park are, like, 15-year-old boys.
Yeah, or 30-year-olds who fucking love the movie Biodome, Pauly Shore. But...
Like, Redditors and 15-year-old boys?
Yeah.
I mean, what's the difference? Am I right?
But to be fair, Biodome with Pauly Shore is a good movie. So
yeah, look forward to our episode on Biodome.
Cool. Yeah, so I guess we'll just get into the final verdict, which is like, how do we feel about this representation? Actually, I think that is a good question. Like, how do we feel about this representation? It's not, I don't find it funny, I don't find it interesting, but like, is it bad? Is it hurtful? Considering the demographic too, and I want you to keep in mind, considering the demographic that it is aiming at.
I think as far as like, and like, I think that like part of the, like a theme of this show is going to be like, can cis people make good jokes about trans people that don't suck? And I think even if this isn't necessarily funny, I think that it is in the realm of a cis person making a decent trans joke, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's like, I mean, obviously South Park fans managed to make like literally anything harmful, but I don't think like the core of it is harmful. I think it's them making a fairly valid joke based on like observations of like the whole discussion about trans people. And I remember when it first came out, like, I forget, I don't think I had, well, I mean, I guess I would have kind of been pretty early in like my transition and everything, and I didn't have a problem with it then, when I would have been a lot more sensitive to this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So I think it's fine, and I wish that Matt and Trey Parker were better more often.
Yeah, because I mean, like, I don't think this is necessarily like bad representation. I don't feel like it was, I think it was clumsily handled. I don't think there was a clear message. But again, I'm not the target demographic for this fucking show. So maybe for the people that do watch it, like, this was something that like, I guess the poop jokes and fucking Cartman being Cartman is what they need to get the message across. And also, honestly, like, the show is popular and it's still going. So, like, obviously they're doing something right with whoever's watching it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't think it's trying to be harmful. I don't think it does any good.
No, but I mean, like, neutral, I would argue that, like, I guess neutral impact trans representation is still good, because it means that we're now
I don't know that this is fully neutral impact.
Well, yeah.
Like, I'm not trying to overstate. Like, I'm not, like, really thinking that, like, the sky is falling because South Park. But, like, I can see that it could have caused a little bit of harm in terms of people's gut associations,
which is funny, because in researching this episode beforehand, I was looking at some of the Gay Star News and some of the other queer outlets online. And a lot of them were praising this episode, which was interesting.
I find that really silly. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, it's the same people that also thought that fucking Girl was a good movie. So, just so we're all clear here, there's probably some overlap.
Girl was a great movie.
Yeah, it's a perfect movie.
Yeah. Girl, I have a poster on my wall. So, like, I can't invite any, like, my parents over.
But are you allowed to have scissors in your house now?
It's very graphic. It's a very graphic poster. But sometimes it, like, reminds me of, like, my struggle.
You should write a book about your struggle.
Your struggle with no matter how good your life is and no matter how good everything is and how validated you are and how many resources you have, you still just need to cut your dick off with scissors.
It do be like that.
Yeah, well, so that I can use the women's washroom.
Yeah, and become the ballerina, the Juul smoking ballerina that you always wanted to be.
This is another thing about the women's washroom is that it's like way more crowded.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, absolutely.
The lines are always longer. I mean, I think
lines are way longer.
I think that's the strongest case for proving the legitimacy of trans women is the bathroom line is longer. No one would willingly transition themselves for a longer bathroom line. That's just not going to happen. And also trying to find fucking shoes.
People talk to you in the line.
I was actually at a Lorde concert. I saw Lorde, and the line for the women's washroom was so fucking long at Rogers Stadium that, like, I regretted transition. I wanted to detransition right there and just walk into the fucking empty men's washroom because, you know, there's like 7 dudes at this large concert.
Yeah, I like the fucking TERFs and gender crits are just like, yeah, the men want to get in our washrooms, like we do. Fucking trans women are just like, no, we don't.
Get out of that washroom as quickly as possible because I am anxious.
Yeah. Have you had that moment where you're standing there waiting for the female assigned single occupancy washroom when there's an open male single occupancy washroom right next to you?
And literally only trans women do that. Like a cis woman would just walk straight into the single occupancy men's washroom, but a trans girl is gonna refuse.
Yeah, I refuse. This is proper social decorum. This is what I have to do.
I fought for this.
And just like fucking every other person, just like fuck no. Let me. A woman will shit. A cis woman will shit in the urinal if they have to. They're fine with it. Especially those trough ones.
Well, yeah, and like there are like cis women who will just go into the men's washroom at like a bar if it's crowded.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
Women already know how to hover over the seat. They can do that over the urinal.
I refuse to do that. There's no fucking way.
Yeah, no, I had that at the PNE the other day where I was waiting in line and there was like a whole like for these like, you know, like sort of like the portable
the
like
PNE is like a fair like a expo, like a convention, like a...
It's the Canadian version of a state fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the Iowa State Fair, except for Vancouver. It's like for, you know, the Yankee audience.
Yeah. So anyway, but they had the, you know, those like portable washrooms where they have like the 2 washrooms and it's like kind of a big trailer. Mm-hmm. But anyways, yeah, I was standing there in line and there was a bunch of girls being like, hey, the men's washroom's empty, and like a whole gaggle of like just drunk ass like Vancouverite women just wandered in there, and I'm like, nope.
There's no way.
I've paid too much money. I've signed too much paperwork. I've put in too much effort. I started a podcast. I'm not doing it.
If I never see a urinal again for the rest of my life,
I would sooner die.
I will have succeeded in my transition. Urinals are gross also.
Yeah.
I forget that people like stand up to pee.
Oh, and so I think this concludes our session on we can make poop jokes on this episode. So poo butt and urinal jokes, and this is the high quality content you've come to expect from us. And thank you to our 5 Patreons for continuing their support of poo butt jokes. Excellent. I'm going to play us off. I'm Madeline Hops. I am at rabbit_is_dead on Twitter and Twitch. I am just getting the little one into school, and I'm working on 3D modeling and learning that and practicing drawing more often. Oh, and I'm currently making my way through like anthology of Lovecraft stories, which have been amazing so far.
Fuck yeah. I mean, Lovecraft, dubious, but fun.
Yeah, well, Lovecraft has... I mean, to be fair, this book at the very beginning of it has, like, at least 3 pages dedicated to how Lovecraft definitely 100% was racist.
Yeah.
There's an essay called How to Separate the Art from the Artist.
Oh, no.
Well, there's, like, a weird part in that one Lovecraft book where he just goes on, like, a 700-page tangent about how Cthulhu is actually the Jews.
I'm Ricarter at RHICARTER, and yeah, I am Lord.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah.
I'm Amy. Check me out on Twitter at Lavender Ashtray. I do bad jokes, and all I'm doing with my life right now is reading like 500 pages of American history every week and wanting to die every time I read about Reconstruction.
I heard it went really well.
Yeah, flawless success.
I thought you just wanted to die normally. That's why you spoke Juul.
So question. Fuck, why am I forgetting his name? The one with the beard, one on the $50 bill. Reconstruction, Civil War general, president, American States.
Garfield.
No, before that.
Yosemite Sam.
Ulysses S. Grant. Okay, is Ulysses S. Grant the most
Daddy?
fuckable American president?
Yes, he's daddy.
I was listening to this thing about him where, like, basically almost as, like, obviously it doesn't sound like it, but, like, almost as just a bad tone-deaf decision, he, like, started concentration camps for Jews during the Civil War. Literally because it was, like, apparently just most of the people running cotton back and forth from between the Union and the Confederate States a lot of them were Jewish people. So then he was like, oh, well, we just should throw them all in jail, and so we don't have to worry about it until the war's over. And then he spent literally the rest of his life going to, like, Jewish fundraisers, hanging out with, like, Jewish people, and just, like, desperately trying to, like, make up for it and make them like him again.
God, I hate it when that happens.
Literally, Ulysses S. Grant, he was one of the worst politicians that America's ever seen, but I think he might actually be one of just the best people, mostly because he's just, like, a good-hearted, bumbling idiot.
My type.
Yeah, exactly.
Fuckable indeed. All right, well, thanks everyone for joining us. One last shout out to, two things. First, we'd like to give a shout out to Deep Press Prints, who is going to be printing some merch for us. It looks like we're going with crop tops, boys, girls, and NBs. So look forward to
yes.
that. We are currently...
The crop tops were an executive decision forced by me.
Yeah.
Crop tops, mandatory crop tops for everybody. That's communism.
Yeah.
Communism is when everyone wears crop tops. Crop tops for boys. Crop tops for girls. Crop tops for envies. Crop tops for...
cancer.
Everybody. Crop tops for everybody.
So... and also, we'd like to give a shout out to our and remind everyone about our Patreon. With these new shirt designs coming out, we are going to be reaching out to you. And if you would like to have a say and look at some of the earlier stuff that we want to print on the shirts, then join our Discord. If you are a Patreon, you get access to the better parts of the server. So yeah, if please help and donate if you can. If you want to do a one-off as well, we also have a coffee available. If you want to just do a one-off donation, again, every little bit helps.
I love coffee.
Yeah, currently we are actually operating at cost, which is great. So we have our hosting costs covered, but we would like to do more and exciting things. And obviously, the more money we raise, the more we're able to do that.
Expand our enterprise and reinvest in new capital.
Yeah.
And really, like, grow as a business. Turn this into an industry.
We're starting Reed's Prime Minister campaign.
Is, the Protestant ethic.
I'm running for office, so every product you buy from us goes to me running for leader of the Canadian People's Party. Immigrants bad, trans people bad, gays bad, nationalism good.
Khaki, great.
Khakis, mandatory khakis. Vote for me.
All right, perfect.
Mandatory, like, khaki shorts and, like, polos.
And those fucking sunglasses that are like multicolored on the front.
Christ.
The ones that you only can buy at gas stations.
Yeah, I know exactly the ones.
Yeah, we're all
like your bald uncle wears.
Yeah, and the pair of flip flops that are just hanging in there.
Like indoors. Yeah.
So before we get too specific with call-outs, thanks again everyone for joining us. And we will see you either in a week or 2 weeks, depending on where this falls. So we love you. Okay, bye.
Bye.
Take care.
God, that was a mess.